Yeah. Good morning, guys. Yeah. So,
Good morning, sir.
yeah, good morning. So let us start. So in the demo class, we have just touched what is performance testing and why we need to do the performance testing, right? So here actually performance testing, first of all, what is the uh, need of the performance testing that we need to understand, and why companies they need to do the performance testing for their applications or any products, right? So here the main objective is stability. Stability in the sense like, say there, if it is a banking application, they may be having um, thousands, even some millions of customers, right? If it's a international bank, what happens? All those customers will try to log into the application at the same time, right? Do you think this server can handle at a time thousands or even millions of people try to hit the server? And what if all people will try to access the server, or that access in the sense they're hitting the server, right? So do you think this server can handle this workload? So that is what we are going to test, because if the server is not capable, then we'll ask them to increase the capacity. Okay, so that is the basic our work here. People who are coming from non-IT background, you need not worry, because here not much coding is involved. You just need to learn how to use the tools to test the application performance. Okay, so here performance in the sense how fast the server is reacting. Okay, like when I just click a particular button. So let us take the case of any application. It can be uh, your retail application or any application. When you just try to, click any button or any product. So how much time it is taking to display the next page or expected page? That is the speed of your, not the application. That depends on speed of your server. Okay. So normally, I think already we discussed about what is server and everything. I just want to give a recap. Normally if I'm trying to access uh, this site or any application, you take banking or any application. So there are two ways, right? One is you will access through your mobile or access through your laptop. So let's consider the case of you are accessing through your laptop. Normally from the laptop, how do you access? You'll use any browser, right? So you'll use any browser. In that, you'll enter the URL and open that URL. Then you'll see your any website you are accessing. Okay. So the speed and performance depends on what? Depends on the speed of your servers. Okay. Here we have different types of servers we already discussed. right? Web server, application server, database server. Let us assume the multiple servers are there. Okay. So here, yeah, whatever you request, it goes to server. There, the code will execute again. You'll get back the results that is on your script. So the time taken to travel from your um, laptop to the servers and to to get the data back. Data back in the sense your page, that what you are seeing on the page, that is called server response time. So the entire performance of your application based on that response time. Okay, so here each of the server what they have, they'll have the components like so server is a hardware component. So inside you'll have what? CPU, right? And you have memory. Memory in the sense what? Your RAM, hard disk. So if I have a very less configuration of CPU, memory, hard disk, the space will be very less, right? The space is less, but if uh, it can accommodate only few users only, right? So as a single person, whenever you try to access any application, for you it might look very fast. Okay. So when I click, see here as a functional tester, what they'll do, they are working as a single user, right? So I'm getting very fast. But here our job is to what? Our job is to test when at a time multiple people, like here. At a time, multiple people when they try to access, right? So do you think the server we can sustain? Right? It is practically, if you observe, see one single person, when you push anything like in a door or something, it doesn't make any impact. But at a time, 10 people or 5 people, when they push the door or something, it will broke, right? The same thing happens to the server. So it is server has components, right? Like CPU, memory is nothing but space, like have a hall. In that, it can accommodate only whatever the based on the capacity of your hall, right? The same way, based on the capacity of your server, it can accommodate X number of users. Okay, but you have already built an online application that is a retail application. It is accessible throughout the world, right? But if your servers are very limited in the sense your capacity is uh, just it can sustain only up to 5,000 or 6,000 users. Like you have a CPU of 4 core, memory of 10 GB RAM, hard disk of 500 GB. So it can accommodate only, let us say, 4 to 5,000 max. But your application is already become popular, just like Amazon, Flipkart. Now it is accessible throughout the world. Then what happens? Millions of people will try to access, right? When millions of people will try to access, it will lead to casualty, whether it's um, a real life or it's a servers. So your server will be crashed. So that is very big loss to the company and reputation also. So to avoid that, as a performance tester, what we are trying to do, you will be test before they release any product into the production. We'll be testing, okay, using our tools. Like here, uh, we'll be using Jmeter. So there are two tools. They are a Jmeter or a load runner. Both are performance testing. Jmeter is an open source free tool, and load runner is a license based tool. So you don't need to worry. We got the license. We'll share the license. I mean, we'll share the software you can install on your laptop and you can start. So when I install Jmeter, Jmeter can create number of users. Like instead of testing, say if I want to test my application with n number of users. Okay, like I want to test the application with 5,000 people before going to production. I cannot hire 5,000 people and ask them to test manually, right? So here, what is actually performance in the sense? Here, for example, this is our application, right? Here, how do the manual testers will test? For example, there is a test case. Just you want to log into the application, search for a particular product, right? So when I search how much time it is taking, that is what the performance will tell. Okay. But here I don't want to test a single person, right? I want to test when at a time 5,000 or 10,000 people or will search for the product. Like they launch, login, enter the details, and click on this button. Once you get the results, click on this. This is one scenario, right? So when I'm doing it, I'm getting within seconds, right? Within seconds, I'm getting. But I want to see like even when 5,000 or 10,000 people will perform the same actions, like all 5,000 will launch, they will log in, then they will search, and they will click on this button. So do you think it will take? See, App Dynamics, Neoload, Dynatrace, these are all different tools. Okay, I'll explain everything. Okay, here the major tools are Load Runner, Jmeter. If you are good with these two, you can work with any tool in the market. Okay, all tool will do the same thing. Okay, some are monitoring. I'll explain what are monitoring, and you'll come to know. Okay, you just attend the classes regularly, you'll come to know. Okay, so yeah, here the point is when all 5 to 10,000 people will just launch, login, search for a product, and click a product and add to cart, how much time it should take? So they have a SLA in the sense already they have set the target, right? When I click any product, the response time should be always between 3 to 5 seconds. So when I say 3 to 5 seconds response time, in the sense what? When you click a button, the time taken to travel from your laptop to the server, and from the server within the servers, the request will flow, right? Again, it should the result page should come back to your laptop. This time should happen within 3 to 5 seconds. That is server response time. We call it as a server response time. That is the speed of your application or server. So even when I tested with 5,000 people, it should not go beyond 3 to 5 seconds. That is our requirement. So how do I test? Can I hire 5,000 people? No, right? So for that only you have these tools like Jmeter. Using Jmeter, what you will do is we will record like what all the actions as a single person. And here I'll just put some number, like if I put 500, what this will happen is it will create virtually, it will create as if 5,000 people or 5,000 requests are coming. Eventually, those are the people they are trying to make the request. So, like, I don't not put 5,000, but multiple. It can be 5,500, 10,000, 20,000, whatever the number. Okay. So, when I put this load generator, I mean, JMeter, it can create these many number of virtual users and it will hit the server with 5,000 people. So the result would be like as if 5,000 people are hitting the server, and we can monitor the server response time and what is the CPU memory and how much hard disk it is occupying, right? So normally, how do you monitor server? We have tools like Dynatrace, App Dynamics. It is nothing but like on your laptop you have Task Manager, right? So you have Task Manager. here, when I open any application, it shows like how much memory, CPU, right? Memory, CPU, what is the disk size, and how much disk it is occupied. So we'll be monitoring these things. So this is one application. This is one application. Like that, when you open one application in the server, you need to monitor this. Say, when I open multiple thing, you can see these many tabs I have opened, right? For example, one single person is taking some amount of 320, 380, let us say. Another person might take something else. So the if let us assume these are all each person, right? There are around 25. Actually, I have opened 25 tabs. In real time, if 25 people have accessing your application from the server, in the server, it will open these instances. Okay, like this. So each user will take some memory, right? So like that, we'll monitor and see if 1,000 people 10,000 people are hitting, how much memory it is occupying. So already 90% is gone. So that's a danger bill. Okay. So we'll send a report to the client with 5,000 people, it is occupying 90% of the memory, or if CPU is also occupying your 80, 70. So you need to increase the memory. What is the solution? Just add another RAM. So the memory, what is the size of your memory? You can see here. Say my memory or in my server, the memory is 12 GB. Now it is reaching 90%, right? So we'll advise to double the memory. Instead of 12 GB, you put 24 GB or 30 GB, right? Then it will come down to this will come down to from 90% to it will come down to 30 to 40. So it should be always below 70%. Okay, that is a threshold we can say. So all these things we'll discuss. So simply you'll be testing, monitoring, and checking. Okay, if it is going beyond, you need to send a report saying that your user load is not acceptable by your server. So please increase the memory. They'll add memory. When we will do this, before actually going into production, like before when they launch any application, before they're moving this into the production, we have to test and we have to generate the report and we'll share it with the client. So normally, when do you think our job will come into the picture in normal software testing? So for that, first of all, you need to know what are the different phases of software testing. Okay. So normally, once the application is developed by the developer guys, they themselves they need to do their kind of testing to check whether the code is properly working or not. That is called unit testing. That is the first level of testing done by the developers. In unit testing, they'll check their code, run their code, and see whether the code is properly working or not. It is done by the purely developers. And next stage is smoke testing. Smoke testing is something like, but they have developed everything. They just want to test, instead of testing the entire application, they want to test only selected test cases. It is done by all types of testers, even performance testers we also do, but we call it as a baseline testing. Even manual tester, if they have like 100 test cases or the entire application top to bottom without testing, they'll randomly test one or two test cases or one or two scenarios. Like, when they received any application, let us assume this is one application they have received. What they do is they'll randomly check. They click on this button. Are you getting the correct page or not? Randomly they'll check. This is called smoke test because here the objective is whether do you think the application is stable or not. So if they check randomly, if there are any errors or anything, then you can identify. This is just to check the stability. For example, here, when I click any button, I'm getting this kind of error. Page cannot be displayed. So that means you developers did not properly complete their task. So you'll just stop the testing and send it back to the developer. Ask them to fix the whatever the issues. So smoke testing is something called just like sample testing. Like randomly you pick any sample and you'll test it. It is done by all level. Even developers will do database. Everyone will do this. Okay. And the next level is integration testing. Integration means normally when they develop any application, they'll develop in terms of modules. Okay, so let us say this these are all different modules. Let us say this is one module, different modules you have. So maybe one module is developed by some other company, another module is developed by some other company. Nowadays, they're splitting the work and giving it to other different companies. Once all people they have completed, they need to join all the modules to make a single product, right? So this is called integration. You need to integrate all modules to become one product. So if they have done any wrong during the integration, they will get some issues. Okay. So like maybe if I click on this, instead of getting bestsellers, it may display something else. So it is not done by us. It is entirely done by the manual testers, functional testers. We don't need to worry, but you need to know just what are the different stages in software testing. So this is also done by the manual testers or functional testers or automation. Now, once you integrate everything, then once it becomes the one single unit, right? Now you need to test the entire application from top to bottom, right? Right from the beginning to end. They'll write some test cases, like there may be like 500 or 600 test cases for each application. The manual testers need to test each and every test case. So the difference between manual test and performance is automation or manual, they need to test the entire application from top to bottom. But performance tester, we will not test if there are 500 test cases or 100 scenarios. You won't test all those 500 or 600 scenarios. We'll just take sample, those are called critical business scenarios. If there are like 500, hardly we will do 5 to 10 scenarios. With those 5 to 10 scenarios only, you will try to evaluate the performance of the server. You don't need to, because we are not testing the application look and feel, right? We are not the functional testers. We have nothing to do with the manual testing. Even if there is an error or thing, that is not our job. They need to fix it. So here, as a performance tester, maybe you'll pick some scenarios like when user logs in, when I search, what is the time taken? That is what our job here. Not to test from top to bottom everything. We don't click each and every link and see what is the response. No, we'll we will test only selected samples or selected scenarios, max 5 to 10. That's it. Based on that only, we will evaluate the performance of the servers. Okay. And system testing in the sense, as I said, the manual tester, they'll do each from top to bottom, everything they'll test. If they have any bugs, they need to report. Now, another type is called regression. So in the regression, uh, anyone from manual testing background who understand what is regression? Regression testing. Have anyone heard about this testing?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. What do you mean by regression testing?
Re-executing the all past test cases to check whether any regression issue is there. Regression issue means so once issue is fixed, that might be impacting on the other past test cases. That's why we used to do regression testing.
Exact, correct, exact definition. So normally, when I say retesting means what? You have to retest from top to bottom. Say if there are 500 test cases, like the entire application. Retesting means again you retest all the test cases from top to bottom, all the functionalities. It will take time. Regression in the sense, if they have identified some bug in particular module, and you reported to the developer, and they said they have fixed that in the code. So after fixing that, you want to retest, but you don't want to retest the entire application again. So how do you retest then? Do you identify? Do you think this particular module or test case will affect any other test case? Like, in bank, let us take the case of banking application. In the banking, you found some error in, not me, the functional testers found some error in fund transfer. Okay. When you try to do the fund transfer, there is an error or the amount is not getting deducted. So you raise the defect. Developer says that we have fixed in fund transfer. You can test and confirm. In fund transfer, it is fixing, but actually, when you transfer funds from your account, it should reflect in your summary, right? I mean, your total balance. So you have a balance of 1 lakh. I transferred 20,000. That section is working fine. When I transfer, I'm not getting an error. But what should happen when I transfer 20,000? That 20,000 should be deducted from my 1 lakh, right? I should get the balance of 80,000. It should display. Fund transfer is working fine. 20,000 is gone. But still, my bank balance is showing as 1 lakh, right? That is a bug, right? When you transfer 20,000, it should be like out of 1 lakh 20,000, 80,000 should be displayed. So to avoid this kind of issues, they will do the regression testing. So here fund transfer is linked with your summary, like your balance summary. So like that, we need to identify. So that is not our job anyway. Just for your information, I'm giving. And once they do this regression testing, and the last level of functional or manual testing, that is called UAT. Okay. So what do you mean by UAT? UAT is nothing but user acceptance testing. So this could be done by your client as well as your uh, manual testers. So from here to here, everything belongs to what you call functional manual testers, developers. They will be doing this kind of testing called, since from unit testing to UAT testing. Okay. So once the application is reached to UAT testing, in the sense your application are already completed or 90% of the bugs are fixed, it is ready to deliver. Okay. At that time, normally in the UAT testing, your client will be testing along with you. And if the client has any bug, they will raise the defect. Like, it will be a kind of escalation. They will ask like, why this was not found during all these phases. You have these many phases in testing, right? If any of your tester have not tested any of the functionality, simple errors like look and feel or any kind of error, they don't mind. But if you miss the major functional bug and it is found in the UAT testing, that will be an escalation. What do you mean by major functional? Just like I said, right? When you transfer the amount, it should reflect in your billing summary, right? But that is missed out by everyone. And client, because the client has knowledge and they have grip on their functionality, right? They will test, and then if they found that it is not properly tested, then they will escalate. So that's why UAT testing is crucial for all manual testers or functional testers. So once you complete the UAT testing, actually our job will begin. Performance test will start after completion of all types of manual testing. Why? We are not testing the functionality, right? We are testing only the performance of the application. Because if we want to test the performance, first of all, the application should complete, right? It should be ready for testing. So you will not test until unless application is fully ready. At least it should be accessible in the performance test environment. Environment in the sense they'll deploy the application in servers. Okay, so perform as a performance tester, you will come into the picture when the application has completed development and 90% of the testing. Okay, I think this session is going to end. And normally you have two sessions, session one and session two. Each session will last for 40 minutes. If the session is disconnected, don't think